This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, May 18th, 2006, and this is episode number 102 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hotchford from mgmstudios.org. Another full house here today, and we'll start with my Wonka Bar fiend in training, Len Testa, of the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
Thank you, Obi-Wan.
And Mr. Dole Whip himself is here, Mike Scopa. Welcome, Mike.
Blinky, you leadfoot. If you moved any slower, you'd be going backwards. Putting you in a chicken is cruelty to animals. I'm going to stick you in a squid, a lumpfish, a talk show host. Now get in line. Move it, move it, move it.
I'm going to miss that attraction.
We've also got the king of all media, Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio here. Welcome, Mike.
Tell him, Fred.
And sitting in her golden chair is Deb Wills of All Ears Net. Welcome back, Deb.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
And making his podcast debut on this show is Fred Block, the coordinator of DizMeets.com. Welcome, Fred.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Pretty good.
I could have sworn you said it was Friday the 18th, though, didn't you?
I could have sworn it was. Yeah, isn't it?
It's
Friday. Shh. Fred, it's Friday. It's Friday.
Oh, it's Friday?
It's
Okay.
Friday.
It's Friday the 19th, though, I think is Fred's point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you said
is it the
Friday
19th?
Oh!
No!
No.
We can use that on the 200th show bloopers.
That'll teach me for using a 2005 calendar to do this podcast.
7-hour extravaganza of bloopers.
Well, today we're going to talk...
Fred, what I said about these guys. Oh, you're online. Go ahead.
La, 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 la.
It's all about America.
Glorious 3-hour finale.
You've got 7 minutes.
You got a minute and a half.
Well, today we're talking about DizMeets, which is an annual event that occurs in Allentown, Pennsylvania. This year it'll be occurring on July 15th, 2006. It runs, that's a Saturday, isn't it, Fred?
Yes, it is.
And that runs from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's kind of a weekend thing, and it's well, why should I even describe it? We brought the man himself, Fred Block, on to talk about this, along with Deb Wills. But Fred, why don't you explain to our listeners what exactly the DizMeets, what it is?
It's a community of people that have always interacted in some way, shape, or form on the internet, whether it be through forums or IRC chats and all that. But you never get to meet those people in person, and you're really close. You share a lot of information, but taking that final step of getting to meet people is always something that was missing, and I guess that's kind of what the DizMeets.com thing is. It's getting together and showing and giving everybody a chance to meet each other.
There are some featured speakers at this event. One of them is actually our own Mike Scopa. Mike, why don't you tell our listeners who else is going to be there besides yourself?
Well, right off the bat, one of my heroes, Steve Barrett, will be there from Hidden Mickey's Guide. Steve will be there talking about all kinds of things, Hidden Mickey's, of course. And then the lovely Deb Wills will be there talking about, I don't know what she's going to be talking about, but Deb will be there. Let's see.
I'm actually going to give tips and hints on how to do the Food and Wine Festival.
Oh, that's right. That's good, because I'll be paying attention because I'll be going this year.
You'll be eating at the Food and Wine Festival.
I will be eating at the Food and Wine. I'll be running at the Food and Wine Festival. Let's see, who else is going to be there? Lou Mangello from the Disney World Trivia Book. Chris Carlson, who was on our podcast a few months ago, who is the author of Disney on a Dime. And the lovely Dave and Jennifer Marks will be there from Passporter. And I believe also...
Dave was lovely.
Dave is lovely, yes. and
more
John,
comely, I would say, than lovely, but okay.
Well, okay, so Jennifer's lovely and Dave...
He's a handsome man.
Dave's a handsome man. Okay. And then there's...
I want to keep that to yourself, Scopa, but okay, go ahead.
Last but not least, I believe from the Central Jersey Disney Pin Traders is John Rick. I believe that's it.
Yeah, you did. You got that list down better than I probably would have.
Now, Deb, can you compare DizMeets to Mousefest? Is it a different location, and that's the main difference, or what? How, can you maybe explain to our listeners what they can expect over here as opposed to Mousefest?
Mousefest, as you know, is a week-long event that involves both being on the Disney cruise ship for some folks and being on land. And people can come and go. There's meets throughout the week, and you can pretty much pick and choose what you want to do. Communities are very centralized in that they have their own sets of meets and then do meets to invite everyone. And the Allentown Diz Meets that Fred organizes is really different. It's maybe an offshoot of Mouse Fest, I guess, in a global sense. But it puts everybody in this huge ballroom for a day, and you get to meet new people, talk Disney, hear some great speakers, interact on a one-on-one basis. And it encompasses the 7 hours of the day. So it's not spread out over time. It's also not at Walt Disney World, so for a lot of people it's a lot less expensive and easier to get to. And it's a full day of fun.
One thing I've always wondered about Diz Meets, why Allentown, Pennsylvania? Did you throw darts at the map or something? How did you pick?
It's funny you should say that. I think darts would have probably been more fun, but I have to admit I'm more of a dork than that. What I did was I wanted to find a centralized meeting place, where everybody could drive within a 300-mile radius, and I essentially drew a circle around the Northeast. And right off to the center of the circle was Allentown, and it seemed to me like that was a surefire hit, so that's where I picked it. And last year we had it in Allentown, and I'm happy to say that we're returning to Allentown, again this year. However, the way things are kind of looking, with the number of people that we might be anticipating, the Crown Plaza in Allentown just might not be big enough for us for next year.
That's great. How did Diz Meets start?
Well, I guess I was one of those people that I got active on one of the communities on the internet, and when I mean active, I mean very active. I got to know a lot of these people. I'm a real social butterfly, I guess you can say, and it just always felt strange that you get so close with everyone that you never get to meet them. And I'm like, something, I saw people were doing meets, and I got together and I went to one of them. It was held in a mall, and 10 people got together at a food court, and all of those people broke off into little groups of 3 or 2 and spread out and went their own separate ways, and you really never got to meet anyone. So after that experience, there's got to be a better way to do it, and I decided to hold a New Jersey meet myself. And I did it. I kind of started from scratch and came up with something that I thought was a little better, and that's where it began, I guess you can say.
Well, we as in the regulars here at Walt Disney World today are planning on attending this year's show. I know it'll be my first event, and it's not just because Scopa is going to be talking. We've heard him talk many times. It's been interesting. But really what we're going to be doing there, as well as listening to Mike talk, is we're going to be planning a live show with an audience interaction. So it'll be kind of a simulcast kind of thing. So that way people at the event can hear it, and people at home who can't make it to Diz Meets will be able to hear that. So
that's awesome.
So yeah,
that is awesome. That's I'd say that's taking it to the next level.
Absolutely.
And being able to share it with people who obviously couldn't attend. But that's interesting. I'm very anxious to see how that's going to work out.
Us too.
Yes. Now, you do have to register for this. This isn't the sort of event where you just show up one day and can you lead our listeners through how one registers for this event, Fred?
Oh, really? Well, to be honest with you, I've tried to make it as easy as possible. I've learned after doing this will be my third official Diz Meet. And after doing this many, I think, it was a great learning experience. But anyway, the easiest way for you to find out would probably be for you to go to the DizMeets.com website and take a look there. There's a lot of information that has, that tells you what you need to do to register. We have a registration system that you would just go, you fill out your information, and you add on your attendees. You pay for your registration with either a money order or with a PayPal, and then you can print your tickets all right from there. It's pretty much that simple now.
And Fred, what does the money pay for? What does your admission pay for?
Well, It basically covers a dinner-style buffet that we're doing this year. It covers, a lot of the expenses that go with renting a hall that's as large as this. The hall at the Crown Plaza can feed up to 500 people. And we're also this year, renting 3 additional smaller breakout rooms. So money goes to that. Of course, there's PA equipment. There's, prizes that we need to give away. There's table centerpieces. There's balloons. There's helium. There's posters. The list goes on and on and on and on.
Scopa's appearance fee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to mention that. I didn't want to make him look bad or anything. But
Hey Deb, why don't you tell us about your experience last year?
Okay. Last year was my first Diz Meets, and it was a real pleasure to attend, in large part because I wasn't in charge of it, and so it was fun to go.
That's got to be nice.
And
The food,
be a special guest. Fred had a very, very organized meet. He ran a pretty tight schedule, yet was flexible enough to allow folks to do the things they wanted to do. It was a room full of incredible energy. There were Disney balloons and posters, and some of us had tables set up, and there was lots of interaction, lots of small tchotchkes to give away, and it was just fantastic. He had great decorations, table prizes. People just really got into it and really enjoyed the fact that so many of us were able to come together and to talk one-on-one and not be distracted by shows and whatnot, but to just have a great day. And it really was great. It really was a lot of fun.
Hey, Len, you went also last year, and you've been really talking about it for quite some time about how impressed you were by the event.
Yeah, I think Fred did a great job, both in organizing the event and getting every last detail planned out exquisitely. I mean, the thing went off without a hitch, and you guys know that when you're planning an event for a couple hundred people like that, the amount of time it takes to pull that off and to pull it off well is just extraordinary. It was seamless. I mean, I think everyone got a door prize, or it was very close to it. They had prizes for kids. There were speakers. Lou Mangello brought his laptop. We had a laptop display. So I think when we did I actually gave the precursor of the talk I'm going to give at Mensa in August, last year, where I got to talk about the guy. Everyone was funny. The food was fantastic. I mean, there was just plenty of food. Lots of great people to meet. Like I said, Mangello was there. Deb was there. There were people there I hadn't seen since the Mouse Fest, but he just pulled it off so well. It was so well organized and just such a great value for the money. I mean, the food alone, it was probably worth the money. He did a great job on it. I was really, really, really impressed with it. And I'm sorry I can't go back this year, but I'll definitely be on the live podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna miss you, Len.
Yeah, I got to do that Mensa thing, which I'm sure they're not going to have door prizes or tchotchkes.
Well, Fred mentioned that he's got some breakout rooms, and he conducted a pretty extensive survey last year after the meet to find out exactly what people thought. And one of the biggest suggestions was to have more downtime. So what he's done for this year, and I know he's still struggling with the schedule, he's only got 2 or 3 main ballroom speakers, and then the conference rooms, the breakout rooms, are going to be for smaller size talks. So if you want to stay in the main ballroom in between the big talks and you want to trade pins or just get to know the folks at your table or mingle around, you can do that. But at the same time, there'll also be talks by myself and Dave and a host of other folks that you can go and listen to. And we've got a lot of great topics that I think people will find very interesting too.
Now, one of the key elements of this event, as we've kind of hinted upon, is the speakers, and Mike Scopa mentioned exactly what people are going to be talking about, but who's going to be there, rather. But Mike Scopa, why don't you tell us a little bit, what topic are you covering?
Well, it's not top secret, but I can give you a little hint without spoiling it for everyone. A few years ago, I wrote on a topic called the Disney Zone, and basically it was the notion that when people visit Walt Disney World, at a certain point, something comes over them, and they are placed in a mode or a zone in which they forget about their cares, they forget about the stresses of life, and they just really enjoy themselves. And I'm going to speak to that, and I'm going to talk about Disney magic, and I'm going to talk in detail about something that happened. Oh, it was a Disney magical event that took 40 years to take place. It covers a span of 40 years, and I get to tell everybody exactly what it means to have a Disney magical moment down there, and how the cast members are very much a very key part in all of this. And I think that it's going to be an interesting 20 or 30 minutes, or however long it takes me.
Interesting
to tell
3-hour
the story.
presentation.
Yeah, like Fred Sam the Eagle. But I think that was a question that I was going to ask Len. How long did your talk go last year? And I think Lou also was there last year, and Deb too. I mean, when you guys spoke, how long was your talk?
I think it did like 20 minutes and then 20 minutes of questions, but it ended up being like half an hour of questions.
Yeah, around 40 minutes all total.
Yeah, people are going to want to ask questions, Mike. That's the one thing I would prepare for.
Mm-hmm.
Fred, any last minute, or not last minute, but any comments to leave our listeners with for Disney Meets? Anything we haven't covered?
Probably.
Come to the meet.
I'd love to see a lot of people there, but I gotta say, we have, and I'll let everyone here know here as a first. The registration system has over 600 people registered.
Wow.
And we use the registration system as a guide to know who's interested in coming, first and foremost. And then, of course, you can utilize the registration system to go and pay for your meet attendance if you do end up wanting to go. So, we still have a lot of people that are in that system that said they might want to go, and I'm getting kind of nervous about it because we can't obviously have that many people.
Yeah, I think Len's put a warning on the best days calendar to avoid Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Allentown, Pennsylvania, 10.
And to be honest with you, and Deb will definitely attest for this, last year I was sweating it out because, this is just a personal thing, and obviously I'm laying a lot of money out of my own to get the ball rolling. And in the last month or so, and I'm still a little short, and I'm going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And all of a sudden, boom, I just started getting flooded with registrations and payments. And
I remember when last year, Fred, when people started showing up at the door with cash, and you're like, I'm not set up to handle credit cards. Like, I'm not set up to handle credit cards, dude. I think then we knew it. You were onto something.
Yeah, I was totally surprised, and if what happens last year happens again this year, and I'm pretty certain it's going to, because there's a lot of people that are waiting till it gets closer before they commit.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot more people than I initially anticipated.
Well, that's great. I really encourage all of our listeners to come down. Not only just to, since you listen to the podcast, you might be interested in coming to see us and for our live podcast and what have you. But it's really, if it's anything like Mousefest, it's a lot of fun to be able to come and meet the people and personalities that you've read about, read their posts, read their articles online, and it's just a lot of fun to put faces to names, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than going to Disney World. You don't have to worry about it.
If I could add to that really quick, I don't want to interrupt, but if I could add to that, one of the really coolest things I think that you're going to find here is there are tables of 10, and it's not that you're just meeting these people; it's that you're going to be meeting and sitting with these people all day. It's a great way to get to know everyone. It's not like you're going to a wedding. You're like, oh my God, who am I going to sit with? What am I going to talk with them about? Oh, please don't stick me with those people. It's
right.
It doesn't matter where you go. Well, that's what everybody says. When it comes to me, I have such a big mouth. But when it comes to that, all you got to remember is everyone who's coming is coming because they love Disney. So you got a great topic, to discuss right there. Don't be afraid. There's a lot of people coming. There's a lot of great stuff. We got a lot of great surprises going. The food is going to be fantastic. I've already sampled it. The hotel has done a complete remake from last year. They did an overhaul. So there's a brand new bar, really nice sports bar. I plan on doing. Lou and I have some Mission Impossible top secret event possibly planned for later that evening of the meet for those that are staying in the hotel. And of course, don't forget, one of the reasons why we also like Allentown is I know it's not Disney, but you have Dorney Park right down the street, literally 5 minutes away. So if you stay overnight, you also get to go. You can also plan to go to the park, the next day.
If our listeners have any questions for you, Fred, is there an email, a phone number, fax machine? How do they get in contact with you?
The best way I can say is there's two ways to get a hold of me, or part of my great crew that's been helping me out this year. You can either give us a call at 732-993-5FUN. That's 5386, courtesy of Skype. Or you can email support@dismeets.com, and we'll make sure that somebody answers your email. And most importantly, take a look at the pictures of what did you say? How did you describe Lovely Dave and the rest of the gang?
He's a handsome man.
At www.dismeets.com. Check out the details. Check out pictures from last year's event if you want to see it. And there's even some newspaper stories, so you can kind of get a little bit of an idea of what we're dealing with. But on a much larger level, I have a feeling this year.
Great. Well, that's it for us today. I'd like to thank our guests, Fred Block and Deb Wills. Both of you, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And
thank you very much for having me, guys.
Looking forward to it, Fred.
Fred's site is, of course, dismeets.com, and Deb's site is allearsnet.com. And this has been episode number 102 of Walt Disney World Today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scofa, Mike Newell, Deb Wills, and Fred Block, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.